Here's Greg. Greg is a 34-year-old businessman working for a large retail chain. Recently, he has been considered to start up his own small business in New Zealand, selling electronic accessories through an online store. With no prior experience of owning a business in New Zealand, Greg needs to figure out the best practice approach to comply with New Zealand laws. One key obstacle he needs to pass is the Consumers Guarantees Act 1993. So, what exactly is the Consumers Guarantees Act? The Consumers Guarantees Act is to help protect the consumers by allowing them to receive repairs, replacements, or refunds of goods or services when they are faulty. The CGA applies to consumers that buy and suppliers that sell in New Zealand. According to Section 2, consumer is anyone that acquires goods or services of a kind ordinarily acquired for personal, domestic, or household use or consumption, while suppliers are those in trade that supplies these goods and services.
The Consumer Guarantees Act comprises several guarantees which differ slightly depending on whether goods or services are being sold. In terms of goods, there are 8 different guarantees. Firstly, a guarantee of title where the supplier must have the right to sell the goods and the consumer has the right to undisturbed possession of the goods. A guarantee of acceptable quality where the goods must be of an acceptable standard and if not, the consumer has the right to address either the supplier or the manufacturer. A guarantee of fitness for a particular purpose, where the goods must be reasonably fit for any purpose that the supplier has represented them to be fit for. A guarantee of description compliance, meaning that the goods supplied must correspond with their description. A guarantee of price, where the consumer is not liable to pay the supplier more than what is deemed a reasonable price. A guarantee of delivery, meaning that the goods must be delivered within an agreed time period. A guarantee of repairs, where the manufacturer must ensure that repairs of the goods sold are made reasonably available. Finally, a guarantee of sample compliance, where the goods must correspond with any samples that were given or demonstrated. In terms of services, there are 4 guarantees. Firstly, a guarantee of reasonable care and skill, where the service must be carried out with reasonable care and skill. A guarantee of completion time, where the service must be completed within a reasonable time frame. A guarantee of fitness for a particular purpose, as outlined before. Lastly, a guarantee of price, which was also mentioned beforehand. The Consumer Guarantees Act gives consumers a handful of rights when they are unsatisfied with goods and/or services. Section 19 of the Act states that suppliers can remedy any defective goods by either repairing those goods, replacing with identical products, or refunding the consumer for the cost of the goods. With regards to services, Section 32 of the Consumer Guarantees Act states that if consumers are unsatisfied with a provided service, they can have the service remedied by the supplier within a reasonable time.
Generally speaking, the Consumers Guarantees Act cannot be contracted out. This Act applies despite the agreements to the contrary between the parties. An attempt to contract out of the Act between a consumer and a seller will be a breach of the Fair Trading Act. However, contracting out isn't impossible. For business-to-business transactions, contracting out may be allowed. There are 3 set requirements for this. Firstly, the agreement must be between parties in trade. Secondly, it must be in writing. Lastly, the terms must be fair and reasonable, implying that an opportunity to consider and negotiate was given. If these circumstances are not met, penalties will apply. Since the 18th of June 2014, practical consequences of the breach includes criminal penalties up to $200,000 for individuals and $600,000 for companies. In practice, breaching the Consumers Guarantees Act would lead to significant customer dissatisfaction, and which would cause bad brand reputation. Consumers are less likely to trust in companies that are not up to standards. In the long run, this will cause the business to lose profit. After taking a deeper look at the Consumers Guarantees Act, it is clear that in order for Greg or any business to really thrive, it's extremely important for the company to comply with the CGA.